Hello, this is David with entry number 404, coming at you here in Conning City on Saturday evening. It has really gotten very nice in terms of the weather. We kind of skipped over it being in the 70s, and it's kind of dropped 10 degrees in the last 2 weeks and kind of hit the high 60s now. So it's been nice, the weather. Get to layer up a little, and it's just a more enjoyable experience kind of living here. Another thing of note, kind of seasonality wise, is the leaves are really starting to change color here. You're really starting to get a lot of big bright colors and reds, yellows, oranges, and you get this really cool effect when you walk around the residential areas which are lined with trees, and you get these nice beautiful kind of idyllic landscapes that are very, very nice to see. Unfortunately, I opened my window for without the guard, and I kept it open for like 10 minutes, and now there are like 5 or 6 mosquitoes flying around, and I'm thinking about how to get rid of them. Anyway, one thing, a bit of snafu that I didn't talk about last night in the video was the fact that I did end up having school on Friday. And of course, I wasn't here in the city on Friday. I was in Seoul. So what ended up happening is the mentor teacher called me when I was supposed to have class, in the middle of the class. And he said, "Oh, where are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm in the city with my sister." And he was like, "Oh, well, you have school and you need to be at school." And I was like, "Oh, well, sorry, I can't be at school." And what ended up happening was we talked for a while, and he had told me that I had Thursday, Friday off a couple weeks ago, so I had just penciled that in. Apparently, that Friday holiday had been canceled by the vice principal, and school was back on. But he did not tell me this, so I just carried on with having a 2-day holiday. And so it ended up, I'm not sure I'm not going to get in trouble because it was his responsibility to tell me, but I do feel very badly about missing school, because I'm not supposed to do that. Kind of trying to relay this to him a lot, but I don't know if it all got across as much as I would have liked it to. But yeah, we were both very apologetic to one another, so I hope everything is copacetic, so to speak. In other news, I was thinking, I had this thought earlier today, and I apologize also if you hear anything. I'm right over here to the right of the camera. I am cooking my dinner, so if you hear a little bit of a bubble, that's my dinner. But I had a thought about how cool parents are. And this is just a totally random thought, but I was just kind of walking around today, and I was thinking about how when we're young, parents seem very rigid and lame, because they have to kind of be rule keepers, or what do you call them, empires, or goalies. They're not goalies, but goalkeepers, or not goalkeepers, but they have to be restrictive in order to raise competent adults. And so that makes them seem lame to people who just want to do what they want, which is us, kids, children. But then when you get older and you kind of get out on your own, and you kind of look back at your parents as you were growing up, I think for people who have reasonably good parents, you realize how cool they are and were. And I was thinking about why this is. Why does it seem parents are so damn cool post being a kid? Not really post being a kid, but just what happens to them and to us that really makes it seem that way. Because all of this is just, it's not really a science per se, it's just a kind of an observation that we all, I think, make. And I think the answer really is the fact that as an individual, as a human, we kind of are all the same, right? And no matter where you live in the world, we're all kind of underneath this umbrella of being human. And as you're young, say from 15 or 12 to 30, you're kind of living within these kind of strict parameters of growth. Life should take an upwards mobility, or should have an upwards mobility, meaning everything is kind of climbing up. And then once you hit your 30s, your late 30s, you kind of realize life kind of starts to kind of plateau. And I don't mean that in like a depressing way, or like in a way that would inflect or infer any kind of giving up by parents or people in general when they hit this age. But there is a definite kind of, you're kind of settling in, and I don't mean that in a negative way, I just mean that that's kind of how it happens. You get into place with your job, you kind of start a family, and things start to stop having such a hard angle, start kind of rounding out. And for parents, I think you're kind of still worried always about kind of the kids, but in your own personal lives, things become easier, become more simple. Complicated because you have a kid, but simple in that you don't have to always be like trying to get something, going for something. That you can kind of start being like, oh, I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out. This is good. And so you kind of stop becoming as hungry. You kind of start feeling more satiated, more full, more like this is good. And so you stop caring as much about everything. I mean, and when I say that, I don't mean you stop caring like about important things, but with the gift of having things good, it means you don't have to be as hungry. It means you don't have to always be like attacking. You can kind of start relaxing and settling in, not settling, but settling in, and within that, your manner, your personality, your mood, all start to become more aloof. And what is cool, if not aloof? Aloofness is probably the most cool quality there is. That person that kind of can just sit there and exude kind of aura of not caring, of like, this is who I am and I don't care what anyone else thinks. That is cool. And I think when you're an older child, you kind of look back at your parents and go, wow, look at this, look at how they lived, like they were just like, you see pictures and you hear stories and you're just like, wow, my parents were just these just awesome people that were just like so cool, like how are they that cool? And even today, like when I look at my parents, it's like, wow, they're both so kind of nonchalant about a lot of things, and I know them personally, so I know that's really not the case. But when you kind of look at your parents objectively, that's really kind of how it seems on the surface. Yeah, I think that's kind of what I wanted to say. But I think it's a really interesting thing. I'll think about it more, and maybe I'll talk about it. But it is a very fascinating subject. Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been entry 403, and I'll talk with you tomorrow. Bye.